Hello, welcome to my YouTube Live. This is a new time, so I'm going to give a couple of minutes and see who hops on at this new time. This new time means that Rumi has appeared, at least today. He's post-nap and the other kids are going to the park, and I didn't really think he should go to the park without me, so I told Jason to just bring him here and he would make a cameo appearance on this special event. It feels so different to be here at noon. The last bunch of these have been around dinner time, and it's just a different energy, right, for the day. Any of you that I guess appear today that have been on the old ones might agree. It's just a strange difference to be at the end of the day, and here I am pretty much at the beginning of my day. It's noon here in Arizona, and we have a couple of appointments ahead of us, but then we'll get to head home. So usually, if you're new to this event, sometimes we just kind of ground and center ourselves here together, taking a couple of breaths. And I might try to do that just for a minute, holding this sweet little wiggly boy. Just take some breaths and feel how you're feeling in your body. I just came from the chiropractor, actually, so I'm feeling pretty good, although I'm going to hold this squirmy kid here on this couch, which could be interesting. But hope you're feeling well today on this beautiful Monday. And yeah, just seeing what we're going to talk about. I'm not quite sure. There were a lot of questions people posted, which is super helpful. And truthfully, I'll keep referring back to that list. Probably won't get to all of them today. You want to check out who's watching you, huh? Mr. Purple? Mr. Purple baby? So my plan, here's a great example of like hashtag real life mothering and midwifery. My plan was to read a little bit of a book excerpt, but I'm not quite sure if he's going to cooperate with me also holding a book. So maybe I'll try, and then we'll all just laugh together. If it's not possible to also to nurse a baby and hold a baby and also simultaneously do a video event. I'm not sure. Okay, but I thought this was really cool, and I wanted to share along the lines of midwifery care. This is not a midwifery book, but it is a book for people that support other people, which is surely what we do. So it's called Your Caring Heart, Renewal for Helping Professionals and Systems by the no other genius man than Jaya John. So here's the book if you can see it, Your Caring Heart. I really enjoy his writings. For those of you that listen to my podcast, you know that I've been, oh, for real, you're going to poop on a YouTube event? Oh man, this could be interesting. Yeah, for those of you that listen to my podcast, you know I've been quoting him and reading some of his excerpts from his other books. So just check him out if you have interest or like what you've heard. But I was going to read a little section today about, let's see, what does he call it? Pouring tea. And you may have heard this before, but I liked the way he said it. So I guess the gist is Jaya John, who's the author, when he was in, I believe, India or Tibet, I guess. He said he was in Tibet, Nepal, and Afghanistan and Pakistan, so different cultures, and he was doing his own kind of work and trainings. He was working with some Tibetan holistic doctors, and this was a practice he learned from them. So I'm just going to read straight from the book. The Tibetan doctors explained to me the idea of pouring tea this way. Instead of valuing process over relationships, we Tibetans are socialized since birth within our culture to view relationships as the means by which processes may be best completed. When someone comes to us in need, we do not rush into an anxious processing of information. Rather, we pour a cup of tea. The tea itself, the pouring, the offering and accepting, the taking time to drink together, all of this is a statement, an act of relationship building. With the first cup of tea, we take the relationship from stranger status to familiarity. This is not enough. Even if time appears to be limited for us or for the one in need, we understand that by rushing and devaluing the relationship, we will ultimately cost ourselves time. So we pour a second cup of tea. This shared experience takes the relationship from familiarity to friendship. We then pour a third cup of tea, which takes us from friendship to family. It is mutually understood that once we consider each other family, in the sense of meaningful interdependence, we will care for each other and think and act on behalf of each other's well-being. So I really like that excerpt, and I was, of course, thinking about how it relates to midwifery care and prenatal care, and this idea of not rushing a relationship and not, diving right in necessarily when you first meet someone into really intimate matters. We do serve tea here in this office. We have a teapot we plug in and lots of mugs. I was joking to Margot, though. I don't think I've ever seen anyone drink 3 cups of tea, but I think, the teacup sizes are too big for that, really. So, but I like the idea. And I like this that we take our time with these intimate relationships, and that we commune with people, obviously. That's one huge perk, I think, of going to someone else's house, the client's house or the pregnant mama's house for prenatals. And I shared a couple of weeks ago when I started these events that I'm not doing that right now. With Rumi and everything going on in our lives, it's working for me better to have people come here and serve them tea. But there's something really special about going to someone's house, about going to their space and sitting with them at their kitchen table. And when I've done that, I did that for years. Not everybody serves you tea, and that's totally fine. But a lot of people do, or, offer you something or have even made a meal. So it's a really intimate and special way to conduct this, prenatal care thing. So check that out. And let's see what else. People had asked for a moving update, and I'm so honored and appreciate that people want to hear what's happening in my life in that way. It's feeling really exciting at the moment. There's no definite news to share yet. And, I certainly will once we feel like we've really narrowed down our options and we have something concrete to share. I kind of don't want to jinx some of the possibilities at the moment. And it's just too early. It's just too early to share where we might be going or what we might be doing. But rest assured, it has been nothing short of magical. And, as I always say, it doesn't mean that I don't have my fair share of being worried about it or stressing about it. But mostly I'm feeling just really grateful that we have options and we have really amazing, magical things popping into our lives that I know will make life so much better. And it's not that life isn't already good, but taking that next step into the unknown and the mystery and just the spontaneity and the excitement of life. For anybody into astrology, I'm a Cancer sun, but I'm a Sagittarius moon and Sagittarius rising. So I am happy to travel, and I actually really like an adventure. So moving with 10 kids, sort of stressful, but in the end, I'm ready, and I'm ready to go somewhere exciting and new and start over. Sounds great. We'll keep you posted as our plans kind of come into more materialization and start to crystallize a bit. We will be so happy to share that with our indie birth community once we know more. And, not to be a negative Nelly, but Sedona is really changing. There are lots of people coming here from California, for one, where, life is probably a lot different as far as just politics and such. So people are coming here thinking that, or feeling, probably legitimately feeling like it represents freedom to them. And that's totally great. But it's, it's changing it. It's totally warping this place for the people that are locals here. And we're not feeling that same freedom. I'm not. I'm feeling it's time to go. And crazy traffic and things that we've never had to deal with in this small town are becoming really, really relevant. In fact, my good friend who's our real estate agent, just got off the phone with him because we have some land we're looking to sell here for anybody that is curious and interested in coming to this area. And he's himself leaving. Like, what does it mean when your real estate agent leaves an area? It's pretty rough. Lots of locals are being pushed out. And I kind of hate to phrase it like that because I think, we could view it that way, but I think ultimately it's so positive and the universe has better things in store for us. And it's just time's up, And, oh man, sir, I'll spare you the details. Oh man, what are the chances? What are the chances? Sweet little boy. So anyway, thanks for asking and inquiring. And if you do listen to my podcast, I've been updating there to pretty much every Friday with a little blurb or, a couple of minutes of what's happening. And I just really appreciate the support. We've just gotten so much support from literally all around the world, even people, in the UK and Australia and Spain, people saying, come here, we want midwives here too. And I'm really flattered. And perhaps in my older age, I would consider such a thing. But at this moment in time, we are staying in the US. I think that's what we've narrowed down for sure. So it's fun to hear about all the places, though, that are open and willing to, entertain a big family and autonomous midwifery. So it's great. It's great. It's great. And I will update everyone as we go. So there were lots of questions, and you are welcome to post right here, right now in this live chat if you are watching or if you have a question. Because usually I just kind of follow the energy, kind of follow the curve of, where my little monologue here goes. So I might get to some of those questions because they were all really good. I'm just kind of thinking about how they fit in. And if anybody has any now, then go ahead and post them. My idea, just to give this a little bit more structure for today, was to talk about consultations as far as, people coming to interview a midwife, or maybe you're a doula. It's a similar thing. And the reason I thought of maybe starting with that is because A, I haven't really talked about it on this, and B, someone had asked about prenatal care and, how those visits look and feel. And so I didn't want to jump right into prenatal care because really what comes first is the consultation or the interview. And I think that's a really fascinating topic. So my idea is to talk about that for a little bit, and hopefully there will be some questions. There's definitely not as many people on as there have been in the evening. So I don't know what that means because people said they preferred this time, but probably getting used to it being new too. I know it has been a change for me today. It's feeling kind of weird. So the consultation, someone gets pregnant, they, Google midwives in their area. They hopefully take referrals from people they know. And hopefully, and this is a huge, I think, take home of like the consultation process and the interview process, even from the midwife side, is that the pregnant woman interviews multiple people. So I really, really believe that. And back when I interviewed midwives for my first home birth, I'll never forget that I called one and at least spoke to her over the phone. And I ended up not choosing her. Funny side story. She's one of my best friends now. So kind of weird, but she just wasn't the right midwife for me for that birth. And when we talked on the phone briefly, she encouraged me and gave me other numbers of other midwives in the area, which was Chicago at the time. So I didn't make too much of it, but as I've, went into midwifery myself and was a student and all of this, I saw midwives being really competitive, like not acknowledging that there were other midwives in the area, for example. Or when women come for an interview, not to say, have you talked to midwife so-and-so? Have you been to the birth center? It's really strange to me that that's not a common thing to recommend. And again, it's because midwives can be so competitive and kind of, nasty and a lot of things that are not so fun to talk about. But anyway, my point is, years ago, this was modeled for me, and I was so grateful for that. So that's something I do for sure. So this is how I start the interview process. Someone contacts me, maybe they email or text or whatever, and they say, I'm pregnant, I'm looking for a midwife, blah, blah, blah. Back a bunch of years ago, and a lot of people operate like this, I would just make a time for them to come. Okay, I do free consults. Do you want to come? Here's when I'm available. I don't do that anymore. I've refined the process over the years. So take what you want, leave the rest. So when someone contacts me like that, I say, great, thank you for contacting me. Here's a PDF. Please follow the directions on the PDF, and then let me know if you're wanting to meet. So, and anybody here that wants to see the PDF that I send people, I'm happy to share it. Just email me, marin@indiebirth.org. But it's just a really simple PDF that includes a link to a very short video. So literally 4 or 5 minutes of me just saying like, hi, I'm Marin. I'm a midwife. Here's how I work. Here's how I want you to feel in working with me, blah, blah, blah. So it's meant to be, I think, inspiring and encouraging, but perhaps also will not resonate with everyone. That is the goal. The goal is not to make it seem like I'm the midwife for everybody. So I specifically state in that video that I'm super excited to work with women that are looking for a deeper experience. They're wanting to go down a spiritual path in their pregnancies. They're feeling willing and able to look at deeper emotional issues. So 4 or 5 minutes, I really get in there with what's important to me, because I don't want to waste my time. And, I guess that can sound obnoxious, but I don't think it is, because if I'm clear about the way I work and the kind of people that I resonate with, then they'll come, and they do. And the people that I don't hear from after they review that information are not right, most likely, to work with me. And then they are, quicker on their path to figure out what they do want and who they do want to work with. So, years of doing this has taught me wasting an hour in a consult is too valuable. It's too valuable. There has to be some kind of pre-screening process for everyone, for everyone. This isn't just like a sit and chat. And it can totally turn into that if you don't know. If you're a doula, I bet you do know. I'm sure if you're a midwife, sometimes people just come and they're sort of aimless. They don't know what they want. They just want to talk about pregnancy, or they might be really zeroed in on very specific questions they have. And questions are great. But again, I think you have to be on the same resonance first before you entertain even meeting someone. It's totally not really worth it. So I'll back up for a minute. If you don't know, I teach a free workshop here in Sedona, have for 5 or 6 years. Wherever I wind up next, I will do the same thing. Teaching a free workshop is the single best way to teach your community, offer something of service, simultaneously put your vibration out there into the community so people that are interested in working with you know where to come. So it's not a blatant, advertisement. I am a midwife. You should hire me. No, the purpose of the class is to teach people, inspire them, and then the people that come often will come back, and they'll want to work with you as a midwife, or they'll refer a friend or whatever. So there is that piece, I think, that's really vital. And when people contact me about interviews, the first thing I do tell them, along with sending them this PDF, is when the next free workshop is, because they don't have to work with me as a midwife. They don't even have to want to interview with me. They are welcome to the free workshop no matter what. So first step, come to the free workshop. No pressure on sharing anything individually. It isn't about any individual in the room. It's just about presenting this thing, watching birth videos, asking questions. It's really non-threatening. And then people can take the next step. So anyway, in the PDF, there's a short video to watch. And there's a couple of required podcasts to listen to. I think it's just 2, and they both have transcripts. So I want people to understand before they even sit here with me that this is not typical midwifery care. I am not licensed. I don't want to be licensed, and I don't practice like the licensed midwives. So no one else is doing this education. No one here is. The licensed midwives are happy usually just to have whoever come in. They don't seem to have any discretion over, if people are resonant with them or not. It's just, I'm a midwife, I'll take anyone that comes. But I learned years ago, and I continually learn that is not the way that I meant to do this work. So I asked the people, listen to some podcasts, watch a video, and that's really it. And I do list on the PDF the other options in the area. So for here, that's a couple of other midwives, it's a birth center or 2, and they should totally go check those out. So typically I, hear back from, probably 50-50, honestly, in the day and age right now of mask wearing. Another thing I have on the PDF is that I don't do that. And that if people feel more comfortable wearing masks and doing that whole thing, then I'm not the midwife for them. Because I don't work with people like that. So 50-50 right now, I'd say, with those that have come to make a consult appointment. So 50%, maybe, I'm just estimating, I don't hear back from, but it's like, yay, that's 50% that I didn't have to waste time with here, and they didn't waste their time. So we both win. And then the other 50 say, thank you so much for sending that information. It was amazing. It felt so good. This answered so many of my questions, and I really want to meet. And that's a great way to start a relationship, where both parties are excited. Both parties are on the same page, want the same thing, have pretty much the same goals. It's amazing. So I hope that's helpful to people. And I would highly recommend that you do the same. Figure out who you want to work with, what's important to you, and go from there. On the flip side, if you're a student or if you're a very new midwife, maybe it pays to meet with everybody right now. I certainly did for a long time. There's lots of lessons there, lots of lessons. And coming up with good questions to ask, for example, why are you looking into home birth? And if you talk to everybody that comes in, you'll be surprised with that answer. Sometimes people come in and they say, oh, I'm just looking into home birth. I don't even know what I want. And generally speaking, those are not the people I work with. I generally work with the people that already know they want a home birth. So that's a great question. Why do you want a home birth? And see what they say. What do you want for this birth? Another great question. And I think there's lots of other questions that come just naturally as you're meeting with people. But my goal in the consult, again, after this initial screening process, is to determine if it feels right to me to work with them. And I'm expecting them to do the same. So, sometimes the meeting ends and the woman will say, oh, this is great. Like, I can't wait to get started. How do we get started? And I always say, I promise you, I always do, even if I absolutely love these people and I think these are the most perfect clients that have ever come along in my whole life, I say, please go home and think about it. Go home and think about it. Feel how it felt to be here, to have me in your world with you in your pregnancy. Go home and take your time. There's no rush. There's no reason that 24 or 48 hours is going to make or break this, even though it is nice to know what people want to do. It is nice for me to figure out what I feel, not to let it go on for weeks at a time. but no harm in 1 or 2 days, just a matter of getting clear, leaving this energy and seeing what comes up. And, once in a while, I don't hear from people ever again after that. Seriously, like something didn't feel right to them. And I would never want to pressure anybody into something that didn't feel right for them. So I asked them to go home and think about it and feel into it, and I'll do the same. And we sort of mutually usually come back together in a way that says, yes, this feels good, this is resonant. And they might say, we can't wait for you to be our midwife. And I'm equally as excited. I can't wait to walk with you on this pregnancy journey. I'm super excited to support you. And, these are the next steps. So I think it's possibly more involved in a way than you might think. And maybe if you've had babies or had midwives yourself, I don't know. I don't know how much thought people put into like this side of it when you're the mom. I remember being the mom interviewing a midwife the first time years ago. This is really a mess, sir. We might have to make our midwife live a shorter thing because Rumi has a poop explosion. Yeah, so anyway, I think that's an exciting topic. That's kind of my primer on it. I probably have a lot more to say and a lot more that we share in our business classes. Side note, Margot and I are starting up some one-on-one personal / birth business coaching. And we're really excited about offering that on an invite-only basis. So if you're a doula or a midwife, whether or not you've been doing this a short time or a long time, if you're feeling like you would love some coaching, some motivation, some inspiration from Margot and I both, then email me, Marin@indiebirth.org or Margot@indiebirth.org. We'll send you an application. And so we're offering these single, one person at a time. So it's completely focused on you as an individual. We're offering these 6-hour sessions. So a whole day with Margot and I, 3 hours with me, 3 hours with Margot, all kinds of things covered, plenty of preparatory work so that we're all like on the same page, ready to support you with wherever you're at in your life. And hopefully the results will be amazing. Hopefully after 6 hours being supported by us and our experience with whatever you uniquely have going on, you feel magical. You feel completely embodied or ready to embody this role of doula or midwife. And we're super excited to do that. I think the time is feeling really good, the timing. It's been a long time coming, and of course we work on these things every day. So we're constantly trying to refine our own processes, our own, inner growth and how that reflects outward on the work that we do in the world. So we don't have it all figured out, but we've come a long way, and we're really excited to offer some of this individualized coaching to women that want that. And I think it'll be really valuable for the people that do. I can see that there will be transformations happening and probably all kinds of great concrete results, like feeling clearer about who you are as a midwife or doula, and offering that to the world, which, in turn means more abundance and, just more change, really. So if you're one of those people, even if you're watching this recording, this is something we want to start doing. So email us. We'll send you some information and an application, and we'll see what's what. We're going to do probably a couple of these a month. Our time is limited with, 12 children between us. So it's something we'll probably do every other weekend and see how that goes, because it's also a lot of time for us. But we are excited and happy and really, really ready to support those of you that come forward as people that want this kind of training and coaching. So yeah, let me read the comments. Hannah, I'm kind of struggling with her. Well, it would be fun to hear from you more, whether it's here a little bit or maybe, message or somewhere else later, you and I together, just what is feeling like a struggle exactly. And maybe what about the doula training isn't feeling perhaps completely resonant at the moment, or maybe it just doesn't feel like it's the right time. So I would have some more questions for you, because I think it just depends how you see it in a way. Like, my personal story is that I was never a doula. And I love doulas, and I think they're great. And we train doulas, and I think they are a crucial piece of showing women their power. So it's not a role to be taken lightly, even though back in the day when I was getting started, I certainly didn't see the doula role in that light. But I never wanted to be a doula. And the best way to explain it, and Margot and I were talking about this on one of our Clubhouse talks, so some of you may have been there, but I'm too bossy to be a doula. That's the way I've summed it up in a more humorous way. I saw my midwife. I had a doula as well. I had a doula with my first birth, and then I also had a doula with my second birth, who was our first home birth. So I, was very well aware of what their roles were. And when I met my home birth midwife and had that experience, I just had no desire to be a doula. And so, I think it's just maybe looking at that too, like, what does that mean to you? Maybe that role doesn't appeal. And I don't think doula has anything to do really with being a midwife, even though the midwife role encompasses the doula role, if that makes sense. So to me, the doula role is emotional support, kind of like sisterly support. Sometimes it's hands-on. Education, all of those things are so important. And truly, I think midwives should be doing those things as well. So that's where you kind of end up doing the doula role, even as a midwife. But of course, midwifery training, I think, and I don't think anybody's going to argue, is like way more intense. And there's the whole clinical aspect, there's research, there's skills, hands-on skills. So there's a lot more to it, but it doesn't negate the doula role. So if you're feeling perhaps, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, Hannah, but for me, it felt like the doula role just like wasn't enough. Like, I wanted more than that. I wanted more responsibility than that. I wanted more to learn. I wanted more, to do, even though, of course, ultimately with midwifery, we're also striving to not do, but you know what I mean. So no, I never wanted to be a doula. I went straight into midwifery, and I'm really happy about that. Again, I feel like I have learned the doula skills along the way. So maybe for you, just evaluate what you're feeling, what you're thinking, where you're coming from, and what your heart is telling you, because maybe none of it is on the table right now. I don't know you, so I can't say, but it's like, is birth work a thing, or is maybe that not a thing? I think a lot of women do get into birth work, and ultimately it's not the thing. But that doesn't mean there aren't a million other ways, of course, to support women or cycles or teenagers or fertility, right? Breastfeeding, there's so many topics that kind of fall under birth work. And midwifery is only one. So as much as I enjoy this role of midwife, and I'm pretty sure I'm here to do this, it's definitely not the only one. It's not the best one. It's not the most influential one. It's just one. So figure out for you kind of where you want to go and what you see yourself doing, what you feel yourself doing in years to come as far as supporting women or not. So if you want to talk further, send me a message. But that's my short answer. Yeah, Jessica, that's how I feel. And I think, everybody's different. There's lots of midwives, of course, that did doula trainings first. And, that's great if that's how you want to do it. But if you're really sure you want to be a midwife, there's no time to waste either, And for me, one reason I knew I could never be a doula is I was definitely not interested in hospital births. Nope. I had one myself, my first baby, wasn't interested in supporting it. And, I've never gone back on that, obviously. Like, I've never wished I had. That's just not where I'm supposed to be. So yeah, we're all different. Along those lines, for those of you that are maybe new or don't know our offerings, we do have an intro to midwifery course. So for the midwifery school, that is a prerequisite, or the Birth Warrior Project, which is a doula training essentially, even though I think it goes far beyond that. There is particular support and information around building a business as a birth worker. So that's the difference between the Birth Warrior Project. That includes that kind of training, support, and coaching. And then the intro to midwifery is, we don't have coachings and all of that around business because it's not really the point. The point is to get a solid ground in midwifery before you move on to the midwifery school. So again, Birth Warrior Project is if people are taking the doula route into midwifery, perhaps. And then the intro to midwifery is probably more for people that are like, nope, I'm going to be a midwife. I already have been apprenticing maybe, or just like me, years ago when I was like, nope, I just don't want to be a doula. I want to be a midwife. And I took a similar intro course, really not similar. And I don't even really remember because it was like 17 years ago. But Carla Hartley, who is no longer with us, she had a midwifery school. The school's still around, AAMI, and that's where I graduated from. But they had an intro course to midwifery way back 17 years ago. And that's how I started. So to me, that felt like a really gentle step into the pond of midwifery without a super huge commitment, both financial and time-wise. So that's kind of the same reason we came up with our course, totally different course, but same reason, let's step into this a little bit, see where you're at. And then if you want to, it's already a prerequisite. You're already done if you'd like to go on to our 40-week midwifery foundations with Indie Birth Midwifery School. All right, few minutes here. Michaela, how are you? You are about to have a baby, it seems. That's awesome. Core discussion, 40 weeks, trying to hold both up. Visualizing my upcoming birth and accepting baby's timing and way. Yeah, no, I didn't talk about any cord stuff. I don't even remember, honestly, what the cord stuff was. Yeah, we were talking about midwifery stuff, really. But that's exciting. I'm sure your baby will come very soon, right? In the big picture. That's a fun place to be. Most of my babies were due date babies or thereabouts, 39 to 40 weeks. So I only had one, maybe two of my babies that were past my due date by 4 or 5 days. But it's a real thing, even if it's only 4 or 5 days. So I was really happy actually to have gotten that experience just so that I could have more compassion and understanding for women that are past a date. Because I think until you experience it, it's like, what's the big deal, you're not going to be pregnant forever. But when you're in it, it's surreal. Days are really slow. You have contractions here and there that you swear could be something. And then you wake up and you're still pregnant. It's like such a mind trip. And all the wondering about when and how, So I don't know. I don't have any words of wisdom other than I'm thinking about you and sending blessings your way. And I'm sure it'll be beautiful. I'd love to hear about it. And yeah, I'm sure, well, I don't know if it's your first baby. I don't know if it is, but whether or not it is, something I definitely have learned that might feel kind of annoying, but I'll share it anyway, is how quickly it's all over too. It's like the biggest Christmas present you've ever gotten is like waiting for labor to start and this baby to come. And then once you're on the other side, it's like so surreal and life is so different so immediately that my advice to myself the last couple of times has been just be in it, just enjoy where you're at, just enjoy being pregnant. There's something so special about that, even though it gets uncomfortable and all of the things. But soon the baby is on the outside and life is just like so drastically different. And your focus changes, your focus becomes on this person and also taking care of yourself, hopefully in a new way, a really gentle way, and nourishing yourself and healing, healing emotionally, spiritually, mentally, even if it's like a breeze of a birth, I think there's still healing to do. And it's just the unknown. So, I'm thinking of you and relishing with you this special time that you're in before things change again. And yeah, if it's your third baby, then totally you have lots of changes, everybody's life is going to change. So it's like this special little cocoon period before the new, before the blossoming. And yeah, it's so special. I really do believe, and I've experienced that it feels between worlds. And that doesn't mean it's not frustrating sometimes, or, you don't have to just like cry it out yourself to get through the day, especially with 2 little kids and being that pregnant. But ultimately, it's such a blissful, is that a word? Blissful. It's such a blissful time. Yeah, it's different every time, and so is birth, right? So no 2 births are the same, even when you've had a lot of babies yourself. Birth isn't always the same. So it's the surrender, it's the inviting in whatever is needed. And I think when people are waiting, so to speak, for a baby, just enjoying life. Like, that's my best advice to my clients. Enjoy your life, eat some good food, have good sex, have fun. Don't think that you're holding things up. I really despise that whole mentality from the medicalized world. And maybe it's not from the medicalized world. I don't know where it comes from. And maybe it's a natural thing at a certain point for people, women to start questioning, like, why isn't this baby coming, when they're 42 weeks or 43 weeks? Is there something I'm doing? I must have some fears. I must be holding it up. I don't believe it, honestly. Sometimes there are fears to work through. Sometimes there's just like the divine timing and the constellations that have to be in just the right spot, things we don't understand. So take the pressure off yourself. There's nothing to do. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to be other than pregnant right now, where you are, with a beautiful baby that is soon going to be on the outside, which is just so trippy. And after all the births I've seen, I still don't quite understand how this happens. How does a baby get from inside our bodies to outside, just like this? I don't know. All right, friends, I'm going to wrap this up a couple of minutes early. We have some mamas coming in a few minutes, and Rumi is a total mess. Not even sure what he's going to wear here for the rest of the day. But thanks for watching. Wishing you beautiful birth blessings, Michaela. Thanks, Hannah and Jessica and everybody else that's contributed and made some fun comments. I hope this time ends up working for people, but I'm always open to feedback. So as always, just get me by email, marin@indiebirth.org, and tell me what you think or give me your questions. It makes it a little bit more fun. All right, everybody. I hope you have a beautiful week, and I'll see you here next week.